If you want to see me swatch the Physicians Formula Tropical Days palette, then stick around. Hi there, it's Hélène, and yes, I know I'm late to the party with this one. I'm late to the party with a lot of eyeshadow palettes, but this one was, I guess you could say, an impulse buy, I think about a month ago when the weather started to get really nice, and I'm so ready for summer that I picked it up for a couple of reasons. The colors are actually kind of interesting to me, and it smells like the butter bronzer. And I had just cracked open my old butter bronzer this spring because I was getting those spring/summer vibes. And then I saw this one on clearance at my local Shoppers Drug Mart, and I thought, an eyeshadow palette that smells like butter bronzer, and it's on clearance. Why not? So here I am, and I have this palette. Now it comes with this sponge tip applicator, dual-ended. I don't actually have a hate-on for sponge tip applicators, so when I do try this palette, I may very well try to use the applicator just for the heck of it. The palette has basically 3 quads. It's interesting in the palette. Seems to be 1 quad here, 1 quad here, and 1 quad here. That's kind of neat. It does help the person trying to figure out the palette, helps us figure out color combinations. And so there seems to be a very neutral quad, a warm quad, and a cool quad. I didn't realize that when I first took a look at the palette, but I like it, and I hadn't opened it until this video. I actually had it still sealed here. I hadn't touched the palette before working on it with you today in doing swatches. I am hoping the texture on this palette is similar to the butter bronzer. The butter bronzer is a very smooth, silky feel. And all I want to do with you today is swatch it. If you're familiar with my swatches, you will know that I use my forearm, get really close to the camera, and do at least a double pass of the shadows so you can get a feel for the opacity and also show you what it looks like on the fingers. So I think that's what we're going to do today. I think I'm going to start from left to right on the palette. I'm going to go with the most neutral first, then the warm, and then finish with a bang with the quad at the end. And because they're quads, I will use all 4 of my fingers. I don't usually like to use the pinky because it doesn't swatch as well, but I think because they're quads, I'll do that. So we're going to start with the lightest colors of the whole bunch and then move into the more dramatic at the end. So let's get right into it, and I will start with this one as discussed. Now it's only 12 shadows, so it won't take very, very long. But yeah, and I'm going to go from top to bottom, left to right. They are really smooth. I'm happy about that. That's what I was hoping. And it smells yummy. I was going to say scrumptious, but no, it smells yummy. So here we go. We've got the first 4. Now it looks like a very approachable palette. Nothing too crazy colorful. And so I think it's a nice go-to, easygoing palette. And so the scent and the nature of the shadows did attract me to it. Wow, that one packs a punch. Look at that. Okay, looks pretty much like 3 mattes and 1 shimmer. Almost metallic, really. So these are the fingers. Look at that pinky. It is holding its own. Okay, we're going to go with a second swatch of all of these. And there's some shimmer in the cream color. The really light cream color looks like it has a little bit of shimmer to it. Just a tiny bit. It might just be for blending though. Oh yeah, there is some shimmer. Okay, the mattes are buildable. That is really nice, and I am partial to this one. I think it would look really good on my skin tone for sure. So this quad, as we noticed in the palette, it is very, very light other than this color. So I wasn't expecting it to pack a huge punch, so to speak. All right, and I'm happy with the swatches. I don't think they swatched poorly. I actually think they swatched quite well. I'm just going to wipe my fingers. I think given the butter bronzer really applies nicely, I find anyway, on my skin. I'm wearing the butter bronzer today. I would have been surprised if these shadows didn't swatch well. So we're going to go now into the second quad from top to bottom. And we will see what that looks like. And I think the first shadow here, oh yeah, would look very good with the last shadow from the last quad. I'm swatching the color I'm least crazy about. My Canadian's coming out a boat. Okay, let's try this. And nice, these two are going to be next to each other. That's good. Yeah, they're a nice pairing right there, side by side. Okay, this one's not as bad as I thought it would be. All right. Not swatching great, but the color's all right. That one's kind of lackluster as well. Okay, mattes are a little bit tough often on the first go. So we are going to swatch these again and see what happens. I like this one. I really do. It has a really nice amount of shine. It's like a satin. It's very nice. Okay, and the kind of terracotta color, the camel color, and then the chocolate color. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, that color is growing on me, believe it or not. I think on the lower lash line it would look pretty good. I'm just not a big fan of it in the crease. And that camel color is looking better on the second swatch for sure. How about the chocolate? The chocolate's a pretty cool toned chocolate color. It's not called chocolate, I just decided I was going to call it chocolate. Okay, actually not bad for a pinky swatch, all things considered. Okay. We have 2 of the 4 quads done, and I'm still looking at that finger. You know which one I'm going to go towards if I do a first impressions on camera. And I really like the packaging of this palette. It's going to sound cheesy, but I like the fact that it's a basic hard case plastic, and I usually don't like a window on my palettes, but for some reason, maybe because there's a window on the butter bronzer, for some reason, I'm okay with this packaging. And I normally, with a clear window, I would not be. So go figure. Anyway, we are now going into the last quad. And this quad definitely attracted me to the palette, even though it is quite cool. And I say this wearing pretty much a cool look today. And so we have an aubergine. Ooh, nice. It has a good color on it. And a smoky blue, and then this nice taupey mauve color. Definitely the coolest of the 4 in tone. There's another nice shimmer. It's a very neutral / warm palette when you really look at it. This one is not swatching great right now. It's that purple, but I think it has promise on a second swatch. And that's the smoky blue. Oh, it barely shows. Okay. Matches my nails, but it barely shows on the skin. And there's that taupey mauve I mentioned. Okay, we definitely have to redo those. That's a shame that the colors that attracted me the most to the palette seem to be the lackluster shadows. It kind of sucks. Okay, so here's the second pass. They look great on the fingers. Maybe with finger application they would look good. Okay. That one we knew would look good because it looked good on the first go. Okay, this is buildable. That's good. That's good. And then the last one, that mauvey taupe. Okay, so that is the last quad right there. And I am inclined to take these two and do them again, swatch again, but pat as opposed to slide. And I wonder if it's going to make a difference. So I'm just going to try that because there's just too much going on here. I can't believe that it's not going to show up nicely on the eye. And sometimes swatches don't look like they will when you put a shadow on the eye. Okay. I don't know. I'm not convinced yet, but it does have more, those two now have a little bit more shine to them than they did before. So maybe they're going to look good. Now I know that this palette is not available all over the place at this point, but if you do want me to do a look with it sooner than later, just because you have this palette or you know that it's still available to you in your local drugstore, just let me know and I will do a look for you, first impressions, sooner than later. And I think that I would be inclined to use these cooler tones just because they seem to be the problematic ones. I think that all of these would do okay. So I'm worried about these guys. And I would probably end up doing a look with these three and this one right here. Anyway, let me know what you think of the swatches. Let me know what you think of the palette in general. I think that Physicians Formula did a good job on the layout. I like the concept of the three quads. I think it's very beginner friendly and also good for anyone who just likes no nonsense semi-direction from a makeup producer or brand. I don't mind at all. So, and like I said, I don't mind what they chose to include in the palette because if anything, no brands other than those little stumpy ones, no brands include these anymore in palettes. So to have a longer one like that is kind of nice. And it helps with applying glitter. It helps with applying a number of things. So I'm not mad at this whatsoever. So that's it. 12 swatches, 3 quads in the Physicians Formula. What's it called? Tropical Days palette. Let me know what you think. I wish you could smell it through the camera. It is divine. Let me know what you think. And of course, I look forward to your comments and I read all of them and respond to everything I can. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. But for now, take care.